Hello, good evening, good afternoon and good morning. It's Nurse Rich. Have a look at this. A cute stat. This was a young lady. There's a couple of ears in this. Actually, there's three. The first one, you probably saw, there was a tiny little reindeer earring on this very young patient. I think she was about 4 or 5 years old. Incredibly blocked up as well. There was a second ear as well, but she's coming back next week for that because it was incredibly dry and too difficult to remove without being softened a bit further. But one ear we did manage to get clear. But yeah, how cute was that little earring? It was a little reindeer, and this was because, as this stands, it's about a week before Christmas when I'm recording this episode. I'm aware that it'll be released in the new year, so it probably won't make much sense, but there is a bit of a Christmas theme to this episode, and I'll tell you why when we come to the second ear.
Come out in one go.
So I've gone in with the full-size tube there. The reason being, I normally go for the fine end with smaller children, but this thing was so thick and so large compared to the size of a small person's ear. I thought it would come out quite quickly, and it did. There was a few little bits just to tidy up, but I think we're just going to have a sneak around the corner, very bendy and twisty. Very difficult children's ears at the best of times, but when they're as small and as narrow and as twisty as this one was, it makes it even more difficult. And that's the only thing different really when you talk about doing children's ears is the proportions. They're just smaller. But the hardest thing about treating children is actually managing the children themselves, putting them at rest, keeping them comfortable, stopping them getting nervous, and that's the real art I find in dealing with children. And obviously you have to know when to stop as well, and it was at this point here because that was when she was getting a little bit restless and a bit nervous and a bit anxious about it, and because it was noisier, because we'd pulled out the big blockage when we'd started to get the little bits around the edges. She could hear it more. She wasn't a fan of that, so at that point we stopped. But we removed the big blockage, and that's always the main thing. The second one here is a gentleman I see every year, every 12 months, around about the same time, just around about the Christmas period. And it's always a busy time of year for this gentleman. It's not Father Christmas. That's not why it's a busy time of year for him. He's a sound engineer, and the reason why it's as deep as it is in here is because he wears in-ear monitors, because he's a sound engineer for live shows, performances. And this time of year is snowed under with pantomimes. Now, I know a lot of you will have heard of pantomimes but don't really know. Obviously those in the UK, you'll all know what it is, and most of Europe you'll know. Those who watch me in America, I don't think it's quite as common in America. Why not? I don't know why, because pantomime's amazing. We're actually going to watch one tonight, and if you've not heard of one, what a pantomime is, you'd think it was a very British thing because but it's actually, I think it originated in Italy. I think the word comes from an old Roman terminology. I think they had an outdoor show. I think it was a silent show to start with, and it's basically evolved into what it is today in Britain. It's basically a theatre show, mainly aimed at children, but there's always something there for the grown-ups. There's always like double entendre jokes that the grown-ups get, the children don't. It's always based on a popular children's show. I think the one we're going to see tonight is Aladdin, so they have like Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, that kind of thing, classic children's stories. And it's weird because the audience is kind of part of it. You have certain things that they say that you answer back to. He's behind you. Oh no, he isn't. You think, what's he on about? Go and have a Google about what a pantomime is if you've never heard one. They are great fun, and you're never too old to go to a panto, even though they are mostly for children. Even though mine are older, we still enjoy going to a panto every year. And fun fact about pantos, there's always a villain, like there is in most of these children's stories. They always enter from stage left. I don't know why that is, but apparently they always enter from stage left. And they also usually the biggest female character, who might be the villain, i.e. the Wicked Witch or something like that, or the fairy godmother, it's always played by a man. And that's become a tradition now, but I believe it did start when women weren't allowed to be actors in the theatre in the medieval ages. But even though obviously ladies can play that part now, it's traditionally still men, usually big men with beards, who play the part of ladies, usually in a very camp way as well. Pantomimes are very camp, but they are good fun, and often the small boys are played by ladies. It's very bizarre. It's very British. There's no other way to describe it than that. It's very British. So as you can see, we're nearly getting towards the end of this ear. Just a few little spicks and specks to tidy up. Nothing major. It is just in one ear as well that this chap gets a problem. Just a little bit of tidying up to do on the outside, which I think is ear. Now I'm looking at it again. I'm pretty sure it has appeared in another video, so it will be about this time last year. Don't ask me which one it was. I have no idea. Just a little bit of tidying up and almost done. Don't forget, if you do enjoy what we do and you do enjoy this type of content, then feel free to follow the page wherever you're watching it, whether you're watching it on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. If you are watching on TikTok, by the way, I used to edit it so it's in like vertical mode. A bit of a faff doing that, because in Facebook and YouTube it's horizontal. I've since found that if you post the same video in TikTok in horizontal mode, you'll see a little button underneath it that'll say full screen. Press that, full screen, and turn your phone around like that. So if you all guys do that on TikTok, it means that I don't have to faff around editing it into vertical. So that's why it's like that, but just turn your phone around and press full screen. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Please feel free to like and follow and subscribe to the channel. But for now, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Ta-da.